Welcome back to Brandywine Park for another episode of Where in Wilmington. Today we pay tribute to a part of the park that is often overlooked, which is ironic considering that these structures literally overlook the park itself. I'm talking about the bridges over the Brandywine, structures that each tell a little bit about Wilmington and its evolution as a city. These structures are not only functional, but they're also quite beautiful in their own right. We begin downstream with the Market Street Bridge. The bridge you see today on North Market Street is actually the 6th bridge to span the Brandywine Creek at this location. This is a historically significant crossing. North Market Street is part of what was once the main north-south road in colonial America, making it one of the oldest bridge sites in the city. The first bridge at this location was constructed in 1764. Although no illustrations or photographs exist of the original design, historical records describe a suspension bridge supported by chains. Later designs included a pair of wooden covered bridges, the latest of which was erected around 1839. Through the 1880s, horse-drawn trolleys were the primary form of transportation in Wilmington. When the city introduced new electric trolleys, a more substantial bridge was needed. Hence, a new iron truss span replaced the wooden covered bridge in 1887. This bridge would last until 1928, when a new bridge was once again needed to meet the needs of a new mode of transportation, this time the automobile. The 1928 bridge is the one we see today. It is constructed from steel girders, with the sides encased in concrete to create the illusion of a masonry arch. Just upstream from the North Market Street Bridge is the impressive Washington Memorial Bridge, which carries Washington Street over the Brandywine Creek. At the time the bridge was built, Wilmington was growing at a rapid pace. The first bridge on the site was built in 1893 to connect the city to a new residential neighborhood then known as Washington Heights, better known today as Wilmington's Triangle neighborhood. Like the North Market Street Bridge, changing modes of transportation quickly made the first Washington Street Bridge obsolete. The original metal truss bridge was unable to support the ever-increasing volume and weight of traffic and was replaced by the Washington Memorial Bridge in 1921. In 1922, the new bridge was officially dedicated in honor of the 10,000 Delawareans who served in World War I, with additional reference to George Washington's role in the historic Battle of the Brandywine, fought upstream in nearby Pennsylvania. The main span of the concrete arch bridge is 250 feet in length and 40 feet in width, from curb to curb. The bridge's ornamental pylons carry bronze tablets commemorating the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, the Mexican War, the Civil War, the Spanish-American War, and World War I. The bridge also once carried 2 lines of street trolley cars, which were largely responsible for Wilmington's changing settlement patterns and class segregation. As we move further upstream, we come to the elegant VanBuren Street Bridge, which was built in 1906 to provide easy access to the northeast portion of the city, including the popular new Brandywine Zoo. The VanBuren Street Bridge was the first concrete highway bridge built in Delaware. But did you also know that it once served as an aqueduct? At the time it was built, Wilmington's population growth was putting a serious strain on the water needs of the city, so another reservoir was built out on Concord Pike and Porter Road, and it needed to connect that new reservoir to the existing Cool Spring Reservoir, so we needed to build a water main. Now, the way these 2 reservoirs were positioned, the water main had to come through Brandywine Park, so what was the solution? It was built directly into the bridge. When the VanBuren Street Bridge was built, there were only 330 automobiles in the state of Delaware. Of course, that number quickly rose as cars became more and more popular. The bridge was not engineered to handle the ever-increasing loads of traffic, and the water main soon began to leak, and would continue to cause maintenance problems until the bridge was completely refurbished beginning in 1996 and the water main was removed. The bridge was restored to its original appearance following reconstruction. Just beyond the VanBuren Street Bridge is the massive I-95 bridge, which upon completion in 1967 closed one of the last gaps of the interstate highway connecting Washington, D.C. to Boston, Massachusetts. While an impressive engineering feat, the bridge is not without controversy. When planners decided to route the interstate directly through the heart of Wilmington instead of to the east, the project wiped out entire blocks of the city between Adams and Jackson Streets, destroying 652 homes and displacing 926 families. The I-95 bridge is 1,870 feet in length and was designed by the same firm that built the Delaware Memorial Bridge. Perhaps the most well-known bridge in Brandywine Park is this pedestrian suspension bridge, which is one of 3 bridges at the northernmost end of the park. This bridge was built in 1910 to give mill workers from nearby neighborhoods such as 40 Acres easy access to Augustine Mills, a paper-making mill that once operated on the site of today's Brandywine Park condominiums. This bridge is affectionately known as the swinging bridge because of the swinging motion as you cross, although the bridge doesn't swing as much as it used to following a 1975 renovation. Now, interestingly enough, this is not the original pedestrian bridge in the park. An earlier version once stood about 100 feet upstream until it was moved to make way for the B&O Railroad Bridge. The first railroad bridge to cross the Brandywine was the structure we know today as the Augustine Cutoff Bridge, built between 1883 and 1885. Trains crossed this metal truss bridge for about 25 years. As trains became heavier and carried larger loads, a new bridge was eventually needed to allow safer transport at all speeds. To serve this purpose, the awesome B&O Railroad Bridge was built between 1909 and 1910 at the site of the park's original swinging pedestrian bridge. This newer masonry B&O Railroad Bridge is 650 feet long and 115 feet high. The bridge is still in constant use by CSX Corporation trains. The original B&O Railroad Bridge was abandoned until 1920 when it was converted to automobile use. Who needs the stinking bridges of Madison County when you've got the bridges of Brandywine Park? And if you're looking for a good read, I've got 2 good books for you, both of which give you a lot of history about Brandywine Park and these amazing bridges we've learned about today. The first is Within the Reach of All, that's by Susan Mulcahy Chase, and the second is Buildings of Delaware by W. Barksdale Maynard. Check them out, I'm sure you'll learn a lot of interesting things in there. Thanks for joining us for Where in Wilmington, and join us next time as we continue to learn more about our city's great landmarks and fascinating history. For Wilmington in the middle of it all, I'm Rich Neumann.